Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to day 2 of albums that are 30 years old in 2023 as we look back on 1993. Can you believe it's been 30 years since 1993? Man, I got the olds. And I'm getting old. Seems like yesterday that the early 90s were here, and now it's like 2023, and man, that big magic number 60 is not too far in the distance from me. But it is what it is. That's how life goes, right? Anyway, we got 31 days here in the month of March, and we have picked out, at least I picked out, my 31 favorite albums from 1993 that are celebrating their 30th anniversaries and 30th birthdays this year, including this one. It's the 11th studio album from this great British band, released November 29th, 1993, recorded at A&M Studios and Primetime Studios in Hollywood, California, produced by Howard Benson. First and I think only album released for ZYX, or ZYX Music, as many of my friends across the pond would say. It is Bastards by Motorhead. Forget how really good this album is. This is like, as the thing with Motorhead in the 90s, and I'm just as guilty of it as anybody else, is Motorhead just pumped out album after album after album in the 90s and the early 2000s, and I kind of lost track of Motorhead for a little while. I was big into those 80s albums, and then, with the 90s, I kind of stopped listening to metal for a bunch of years during the 90s, and I got full on into prog and fusion, and I, kind of when grunge kind of killed metal in the early part of the 90s, I went on to other things. And then I got back into metal probably late in the decade and into the early 2000s, got huge back into it again, discovered extreme metal and all sorts of other stuff. But yeah, Motorhead we're still really busy in the 90s, and I, at the time, kind of missed out on a lot of those 90s albums that I didn't get into till like a decade or more later. I started catching up on those. So yeah, this particular album features on vocals and bass guitar, of course, Mr. Lemmy Kilmister. This is one of the lineups with 2 guitar players, right? So moving away from the power trio format, you've got Phil Campbell, otherwise nicknamed Zoom, on lead guitars, Wurzel on lead guitars, both lead and rhythm guitars, both these guys, and the great Mickey D on drums. So this is a pretty formidable lineup, and when you listen to this album, you can hear the 2 guitar thunder going on here. I like the production of this album. It's more of a less of a real grimy Motorhead type of production, and more of like with the 2 guitar players, it's like a wall of crunch on this album. This is like a crunchy album that you don't get on a lot of the other Motorhead albums, especially from the guitar tones. I mean, serious Les Paul, and I'm trying to think of when he played a Strat style where there was an Ibanez or Jackson that they were using here. So it's like Les Pauls and Strat style, right? So you get that nice contrast. But man, love the production on this album. And there's some Motorhead classics on here. On Your Feet or On Your Knees is brief and to the point, but man, just totally kicks ass. Death or Glory is amazing. I'm a big fan of Death or Glory. Love that song. I Am the Sword is great. Then you got the headbanging anthemic Born to Raise Hell. Really good. Right there, and even Burner, right? The first 5 tracks on this album just kind of really kick you in the teeth. It, loses a little bit of steam towards the back end of the album, right? But you still got stuff like Lost in the Ozone, which is really interesting. Liar is really cool. We Bring the Shake. Devils is another really good track. Of course, on the CD, they do a cover of Jumpin' Jack Flash by the Stones, which... I'm not sure that was on the original release. I think that they tacked that on the reissue, which is the one that I have. But the regular album itself is 12 tracks long, and really good stuff. Really good stuff here. There's probably like maybe 3 songs on this album that I'm like, they're okay. But the rest of them just really kick ass. And again, can't stress enough, I think this is one of the punchiest and crunchiest sounding Motorhead albums, especially over the last 30 years or so. It's definitely a little bit of a tonality difference on the guitars on this album as opposed to when you listen to most of the 80s albums which, like I said, have that kind of grittier, grimier guitar tone. Here it's just like big super crunch distortion, right? And it's just and a little cleaner sounding too, if that makes any sense. Cleaner in the mix, not clean guitars at all. There's still plenty of gain on the guitars, but and Lemmy sounds great, absolutely ferocious on this album. So yeah, Bastards from Motorhead is my pick for today. Day 2, let us know what you think of Bastards down in the comments below, as well as your pick for today. As we move on through the month, we've got 31 days, so we're going to be talking about 31 albums here. And then, of course, at the end of the month, I will give you a bonus episode of all my honorable mentions, the ones that didn't quite make the cut. So thanks for listening and watching, everybody. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as it posts. And please do click that like button before you leave as well. Also, down below in the video description, we've got the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, as well as the link to the Sea of Tranquility merch page, where you can get all sorts of cool shirts and hats and hoodies and these designs and many, many other ones. We've got posters, we've got coffee mugs and stickers, all sorts of fun stuff. So go investigate that as well. And we'll see you tomorrow morning with another album that is 30 years old in 2023. Till then, I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you tonight on the Monsters Den and tomorrow morning here, as well as at the Funhouse and at 4 Fusion Friday. We've got a lot coming up tomorrow on Friday, so we'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.